One of the favorite tools in HubSpot are workflows. The tool that will help you to automate processes inside your CRM. Let's explore how to start with workflows.
Hi, it's Anna from Automate Now. We're going to do a deep dive into workflows and automations in HubSpot. Now, I'm going to show you 3 places where you can build and see your workflows in HubSpot. And then we're going to do a proper deep dive into how to build a workflow. We're going to build an example. We're going to talk through all the options that are in terms of making the most of it. So, where to find workflows? The most obvious and the key place where you can find them is in the top menu. When you go through automation and then workflows, you will see that's where all your workflows will live. 2 other places where sometimes people maybe are not aware you can do your workflow is under marketing. You go to lead capture and then forms. So on every single form, you are able to use and build a little bit of automations. If you click on your last tab, it's where your workflow is. You can have some, majority of the actions are available through here. For example, sending an email to the contact who submitted the form. And the third place is under your pipelines. When you're building your pipeline here in the settings, so top right corner, click settings. Then on the left, under data management, find objects and then deals. And then click on the pipelines tab here. Once you're there, click on the automate tab in here to see all the workflows that you can build based on at which deal stage a deal is. So 3 places. Now let's go and do a proper deep dive into workflows. I'm gonna create a brand new one from scratch here in the top right corner, orange button. Now, the first decision I need to make is it going to be a contact-based or a company-based or maybe deal-based? Depends what would be the key properties that you're going to be putting the filters on. I'm going to select contact-based and I'm going to do a blank workflow because I'm going to decide when and how and who's going to be enrolled. So clicking next. Now, really, there are 2 main elements for when you're building the workflow. The first one is setting up the triggers, which is the decision who, based on what filters and what criteria and what properties and what events people are going to be pulled into this workflow. So what could it be? I'm going to select everyone based on their lifecycle stage values. So I'm going into the contact properties. I'm selecting a lifecycle stage is any of Mark, MQL, and lead actually. So I'm targeting the top of the funnel just now. So that's my filter. And I'm going to add another filter, which would be looking at maybe form submissions. So I'm looking at people who submitted any form at any time. So people who are Mark, MQLs, and leads in the lifecycle stage and have submitted a form, any form ever. Okay, so that's giving me a list of people who are somehow engaged but not yet ready for sales, and we have not sold anything to them. Okay, so this is me selecting the filters, and now another small decision is to make whether people should be allowed to be enrolled into this workflow just once or many times. Again, it depends what I would like to do with the actions later on. For now, I'm gonna leave the re-enrollment as not active, so people can only go through this workflow just once. So I'm saving my filters. My filters are there. Now, what next? Now we're going into the actions part, which is most exciting. Let's say I would like to send an external email to anyone who has been enrolled into this workflow. Obviously, you will have to build your automated email first. I'm going to just pick a random one just so that we can have something to test. So I'm saving that. And also, I would like to set up a task as an action. I'm going to set up a task for myself. So test task, it's going to happen. It's going to be sent to me immediately, actually. Without the reminder, I'm going to put some content in here, and actually personalization should also be available from this end, which means in the content of my task, you could say things like contact, and then first name, surname, first name and last name, because they enrolled into X workflow offer, free ebook or something. That's just an example, but obviously you can come up with much more and better options here. So this is my task I'm sending, and that's gonna be assigned to existing user, and in this case it's gonna be myself. Another option here is you could assign the task to the contact owner, and then it will go to whoever owns that particular contact. So I'm going to save that. So task is added. What else could we do? We could be we could be managing communication subscriptions. For example, how would I use that? Let's say if this is a workflow that's sending communications to people who registered for one of my events, in that case, I would set up the workflow to start on a particular date, which would be, 5 days before the date of my event. And then first thing I would do would be to make sure that the subscription communications for those people are set up properly. So in this case, it could be an email subscription. Yes, I want them to be subscribed, and this will be our Automate Now events subscription type, because they are our prospects or leads. And then in the value, in the explanation, just say, registered event. There you go. That's done. Few more things that could be done here. We could be adding a delay. So for example, using the example of people registering for an event, the first email can go out now, and then we could have a delay of a set amount of time. And it's gonna be days of the week, set amount of time. It's gonna be 3 days. So between my first email and my second email, there's gonna be 2 days delay, so that the communication is nicely targeted and nicely scheduled, so people get the information at the right time, just before the event. Really cool different thing that we could be doing is we could be branching out. So for example, let's say I'm gonna base my branch on the lifecycle stage, which means that anyone, let's find lifecycle stage, and save. Let's say that anyone who is a subscriber will get a different set of actions, and then everyone who's a lead will get a different set of actions. That will very nicely help you kind of segment even your contacts, and then maybe put them to different lists that can be used for your marketing communications. Or based on the lifecycle stage, you could be assigning ownership of those contacts into different people. Let's say John and Joanna, they look after the marketing part of the funnel, which means they look after subscribers, probably leads as well, and marketing qualified leads. While I don't know, Christoph and Christina, they will look after people who are ready to talk sales, so they will look after all the SQLs and all the opportunities, while Katarina, she will look after anyone who is a customer, and then also evangelists. Again, this is how you would, just an example of managing the ownership through using workflow. Loads of other things you could do in terms of actions and triggers, etc. But I think we've covered the basics. So let's look at all the other tabs that are at the very top. In terms of settings and notifications, you could decide when the actions are being executed. You could limit that to specific days of the year or specific days of the week, etc. You could assign the workflow to a campaign, which then make the workflow an asset into a specific campaign, which again helps track the success of every campaign. And in terms of the goals, this is a really useful thing to set up goals on a workflow. For example, let's say the purpose of this workflow is to make sure that contacts will turn into customers. The only caveat is that if someone is already a customer in the lifecycle stage, in this particular example, they will not be pulled into the workflow, because your goal is that's what you want to achieve. But if the contact already achieved that goal, then there's no point of putting them to this workflow. So sometimes be mindful of that. You can test. Let's say you've built your workflow, you've put all the actions, and you would like to test whether that works or not. You can do it by pulling specific contacts from your database. Obviously, they will not be affected because you are just testing, but you can see whether the filters you set on will allow specific people to be added in here. Okay, I think that's main of the stuff. Please do remember to always give it a proper name. And I would encourage you to do description, because at some point you're going to end up with like tens and tens of different workflows, and what do they do? So my favorite name convention would be to start with like, what does it do? So for example, let's say property name, life cycle stage, comma, copy from company to contact, if this workflow is doing exactly that. If this is a communications for the event, you would say the event name, the event day, and then just communications to delegates, for example. So anytime you or someone else goes in, they will exactly very quickly know what this workflow is about.